Good morning, folks. I'm Meteorologist Corey Thomkpson here in the TV9 newsroom, giving you an update to the risk for showers and storms already moving into eastern Iowa, and then the threat for some severe weather as we head throughout the weekend. So let's dive right into it. In fact, let's look at pinpoint Doppler radar first. Shower and storm activity has been slowly moving into the area. It's been losing some of its punch as it does. We'll actually turn on lightning to give a little bit of an emphasis to that. Less in the way of lightning activity as it spreads to the northeast, but we have seen this steadily move to the northeast at about 40 miles per hour, and that should continue over the next little while. So Waterloo, Cedar Falls, even Cedar Rapids getting involved on some of this. Now, the key is that we have pretty dry air in place here in eastern Iowa, at least to start. This will actually serve to help saturate that atmosphere a little bit, and as it does, more and more rain will make it down to the surface, and the potential for heavier downpours will return to more of the area. But until it does, it could be a little bit spotty, a little bit sprinkly at times, with occasional heavier downpours. That's what we're facing this morning. But then as we head into the weekend, the chance for severe weather is still with us. The latest and greatest Storm Prediction Center outlooks here are presented for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all featuring the potential for some severe weather during those times. The newest one is the one for Friday. In fact, that just got updated, although the Storm Prediction Center decided to make no changes to it, which I think is probably a fair assessment of the risk as we go through the day. Saturday, area wide for the entire TV9 viewing area, except for the very, very far northwestern corner of some of our far northern counties. And Sunday, that has changed. Take a look at that difference between what was pretty much an area-wide risk yesterday is now just confined to areas mostly along and south of Interstate 80. So let's focus on each of those periods. Today is the first one. Remember, it's not this morning, it's not even early this afternoon. It's more toward late afternoon and especially this evening for the areas highlighted in yellow. Let's give it a 5 to 11 p.m. time period that you'll really need to stay weather aware as the potential for more storms moves in. Large hail, damaging wind, even an isolated tornado cannot be ruled out. Latest update from the Storm Prediction Center keeps those risks in that same area. Notice, though, that even outside of that slight risk area across our northeastern zone, for example, that we saw in the previous graphic, there is at least some small chance that a storm could be strong or severe there too. It's just much less likely. The best reservoir of energy for these storms to feed off of will be in southwest Iowa, and that's why the risk is highest there. You saw that orange on our outlook in southwest Iowa. Pull it up again just to give you another look. That's where the strongest storms will take place today, but we can't rule them out staying strong as they move here later. Pinpoint Futurecast this morning. Notice that we have had that rain move in, and it will continue to do so over the next couple of hours. Expecting things to stay fairly wet through the morning hours, perhaps even into lunchtime and the early afternoon. As by 2 or 3 o'clock, it starts to focus a bit more toward the northeastern half of the area, and then we catch a bit of a break. Now, we're not likely to see clearing during this break, but perhaps a break from precipitation, and that will allow a new storm development to take place in southwest Iowa. Watch that there between about 3 and 6 o'clock, spreading from just west of the Fort Dodge area down toward Des Moines and west of Oskaloosa by 6 o'clock. This continues a trek to the northeast over the following few hours. That gets us into the 8 o'clock hour, closer to the Interstate 380 corridor, and then also pushes to the northeast from there. Generally staying a little bit less intense as it does. Remember, outpacing those stronger areas of instability to feed off of. Then in central Iowa, we're left with some scattered showers and storms through the later portions of the evening into the nighttime hours. Now, some of those could be strong if they're able to get organized. Can't rule that out either as this area of low pressure continues to move through the region, but we should start to see more of a break as we head toward the start of Saturday. For the day on Saturday, here's the risk for severe weather in more detail. Most of the TV9 viewing areas included areas just to the southwest, from Des Moines down toward the Missouri border and points to the southwest. Yes, they are also included in that somewhat higher risk called an enhanced risk from the Storm Prediction Center. That is where things could develop and move into eastern Iowa, but we also do have the chance that some of these storms develop right on top of us. If they do, the chance for high wind and large hail is the particular threat here across the entire TV9 viewing area. The risk for an isolated tornado does exist again the farther southwest you go. Heavy rain, again, a possibility. That's in fact a possibility throughout all of these potential days, as we will have plenty of moisture around to fuel that potential. Let's time it out on Saturday. So we pick up Pinpoint Futurecast back where we left it off. That is at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. Some partial clearing, some clouds still hanging around, but we will still have a pretty good amount of gusty wind during this time. That will be spreading in from the southwest and becoming perhaps a bit more southerly by the afternoon. Notice, though, that we've had at least a few hours of some pretty clear skies. Temperatures are going to turn pretty warm on Saturday. We're talking mid to upper 70s, some low 80s, along and south of what will be a frontal boundary that will be set up near the area. I'll draw it on here for you just to give you a picture of what we're talking about. This frontal boundary, at least according to Pinpoint Futurecast, will be about in this location. Now, some computer models that we use to help make our forecasts have it a little bit farther to the northwest. It would keep it more toward the area that would be up this way. So there's some variation in that, and that will actually be pretty important in terms of where the potential storm development will take place on Saturday. So we do have that as our one sort of caveat here in terms of who has the best chance for storms on Saturday. Let's go forward in time now to 5 o'clock. Notice that activity starting to pop up here along that frontal boundary. Scattered in nature, not giant storms, but as they start to get going and a little bit more organized, we do see that potential increase a little bit for some larger storms too. Yes, that we see that by about 6 or 7 o'clock, spreading to the east and northeast from there, and continuing into the evening. Where these storms take place, again, severe weather would be possible. We will have plenty of energy around, and the other ingredients too, support from the upper level winds at the mid and high levels of the atmosphere will be there. So certainly a time frame to watch, but it's not as much of a slam dunk that storms will take place. Now, later Saturday evening and night, that does seem like a more likely time for additional storm activity to spread in from the southwest. Some of those could be strong, and the threat for severe weather does continue into the day on Sunday. Primary threats here, again, large hail, damaging wind. The tornado threat perhaps turning even slighter at this point, just due to what could be some complicating factors on Sunday. I think we're going to see a good amount of cloud cover, a good amount of shower and storm activity, much like we're seeing today, and that could limit the ability for the atmosphere to recharge and sort of maximize that severe potential. And that's what the Storm Prediction Center is agreeing with too. That's why they've trimmed that area back. We used to have the risk including all of the TV9 viewing area practically, but now it's just mostly along and south of Interstate 80. Let's bring back Pinpoint Futurecast to time out that Sunday potential. We're back at midnight on Sunday. Notice how showers and storms are spreading to the northeast. That is a good thing to see during that time frame if you want to limit your severe weather potential. And that's hopefully what we can do on Sunday. Really, the best outcome out of this entire weekend would be to see very little in the way of severe weather and just some potentially decent rainfall to help chip away at those drought conditions. Notice Sunday morning, some thunderstorms ongoing. There could be some strong or even isolated severe storms during this time frame too, but the risk gets a little bit higher later in the day if we catch a bit of a break. Pay attention. There's a little bit of clearing here in south central Iowa. That actually would be key to new development of thunderstorms as we head through the day. If that clearing takes place, we could see additional scattered storms develop, and they would have the potential to turn severe as well. So we have finally gotten to the time period where that threat is present. We do want you to stay with us as we go through the weekend. We're going to have additional updates here on line, streaming updates as we go through the next couple of days and over that threat for severe weather. We've been giving you the first alert to it for several days now. Hopefully you haven't gotten tired of hearing about it, but that potential is there. That's why we want you to stay weather aware. Now, the potential for some pretty heavy rain is also there. We could see at least an inch of rain in most locations. I think, honestly, we could see higher totals, especially for those that see repeated rounds of thunderstorms. This outlook does at least include our northwestern counties down toward Tama, up toward Fayette, and that possibility of maybe 2 inches or more. And that is possible just due to the amount of moisture we're going to have here in eastern Iowa throughout this storm system. Pretty substantial, pretty healthy amount of rain. And because things have been dry, we're likely not to run into much in the way of flooding concerns, depending on exactly how fast this falls. If this takes place over the course of a couple of days, it's manageable given the amount of moisture we have in the ground right now. Now remember, during a severe thunderstorm or tornado warning, the best place to be is inside. Get to your safe place immediately, even during a severe thunderstorm warning, away from windows in particular. Lowest floor of the home is good, into your room as well. Basement is best, especially during a tornado warning, to help keep you safe. Cover your head and neck with blankets, pillows, or whatever you can in the case of tornado warning. Even a bike helmet, any sort of object that would protect that particularly sensitive area of your body. Otherwise, you can get updated information from KCRG TV9, the NOAA Weather Radio Network, The good news is that that is back and working in the Cedar Rapids area. So if you've heard about that over the past couple of days and haven't heard that it is back up and running, it is. If you turned off your weather radio because of that, make sure to turn it back on today so you can get those alerts straight to your home. If you're out and about, weekends obviously a popular time to get out to events around eastern Iowa. Some folks traveling to the Drake Relays, of course, which are ongoing in Des Moines over the next few days. Severe weather risk is out there too, so certainly if you find yourself there, best bet is to get to a sturdy building if you can. Do not stop at overpasses or bridges. You're much better off actually finding something more substantial, or in the case of a last resort, just get as low as you can. A ditch, as long as it's not full of water, of course, and just stay low. Cover your head and neck again during that time frame to help protect you from any sort of flying debris that may be out there if you find yourself caught out in a tornado warning. Now, as we just reminded you, that NOAA weather radio transmitter in the Cedar Rapids area is back online, which is an excellent thing to see. That's one of the tools in your toolbox, though, in addition to others, because you really do need to be able to get that information all the time. NOAA weather radio, great for waking you up in the middle of the night at home. Not as good if you're at the Drake Relays. Now, of course, organizers there will be helping to keep the crowd safe, but you can get alerts on your phone from a variety of means. The one that we, of course, recommend the most, the KCRG TV9 First Alert Weather app, where you can get severe weather updates from the First Alert Storm Team, as well as additional updates throughout the day. KCRG.com, we have our latest information posted there. If you'd like a write-up view, if you're more of a reading learner, we've got an extensive description of what's going to happen this weekend there right now on the front page. Weather Call Next Gen is a new product. It does allow a notification to your phone, another way to sort of help wake you up, for example. If you get phone loud vibration, loud phone ringtone, helps you there. We stream our coverage live here on YouTube, as well as on our various streaming platforms. That includes KCRG.com's live stream section and our apps on Fire TV, Apple TV devices, and the Roku platforms. And don't forget the NOAA Weather Radio, another great way to stay safe. Let's start back from the top in case you're joining us late. The severe weather outlook this weekend has not changed. We are keeping things consistent, which is the latest update from the National Weather Service and the Storm Prediction Center. Areas highlighted in yellow have that risk at the highest in the TV9 viewing area over the next few days. Our southwestern counties first, Saturday area wide, and Sunday in the south. Today, that risk a little bit closer view here from areas near, let's say, just west of Waverly down to Waterloo, close to Vinton, and closer to the Amanas, just near Washington and west of Mount Pleasant. All of those areas and to the west is where we are expecting that threat to be highest today. Large hail, damaging wind, and an isolated tornado, all possible with this as we look ahead. And you see those individual outlooks here from the Storm Prediction Center. Those darker orange colors are the somewhat higher risks for those individual threats. But notice that even outside of that, that pale yellow color represents at least a non-zero chance, some chance of a stronger to severe storm all across eastern Iowa. So we certainly want you to stay weather aware as we go through the day. This morning, shower and storm activity not severe and likely just producing at worst heavier downpours and some lightning to go with it. We'll be moving through over the next several hours. It's going to be here for a little while. So if you have plans early today, make sure to put that into your planning as you head out and about. A bit of a break later this afternoon before more storms move into our western counties by late in the afternoon, probably more toward the evening. 6 o'clock, you see those entering west of Oskaloosa and Grinnell and south of Marshalltown, spreading to the northeast from there, but becoming a little bit less impressive in our pinpoint futurecast view by 8, approaching the Cedar Rapids, Iowa City area, and then northeast from there. Additional scattered showers and storms are possible as we head toward the nighttime hours, but they'll become less widespread and potentially less intense too, but we can't rule out a strong storm during that time frame. So your severe weather potential on Saturday, you saw the wide view just moments ago. Here's a slightly closer view, and it really does include pretty much everyone here in the TV9 viewing area except for the far, far northwest portion. A somewhat higher risk again off to our southwest, where ingredients and more so the ability for storms to develop will be a little bit more focused. So areas from Des Moines down toward Kansas City, even into the Great Plains. If you're doing some traveling south on Interstate 35 this weekend, that'll be a time where you'll need to keep a close eye on the weather and be prepared to seek shelter if you need to while you're traveling. Large hail, damaging wind, isolated tornado, all possible again. Those first two threats, the main ones on Saturday. Notice those dashed lines you see on our large hail panel here. That is for the potential for some especially larger hailstones in our western counties. That's perhaps exceeding 2 inches in diameter. That can do a lot of damage. That can actually injure you if you find yourself outside. So certainly something to keep aware of, and when warnings are issued, to heed immediately and get inside. Heavy rain, again, still a possibility in just about any storm. Timing things out on Saturday, Pinpoint Futurecast keeps us at least partly cloudy for a good portion of the day, but we'll likely see a decent amount of clearing. Temperatures likely to turn very, very warm on Saturday. 70s, close to 80, with some humidity. Dew points could be up into the 60s, could be one of the muggier days we've felt so far this season. And those two things combined with support at the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere to provide some chance for showers and storms by late afternoon and evening. You see that here at 5 o'clock in Pinpoint Futurecast. That activity starting to pop up. It does potentially develop and get a little bit more organized, producing that threat for severe weather during that time frame. Looks like the threat is highest the farther south you go. However, this could extend a little bit farther north depending on the exact placement of that frontal boundary, which we really won't know until tomorrow. So tune in with TV9 meteorologist Hannah Messier in the morning. She'll give you the latest update on that potential, where exactly it'll play out on Saturday. As we head towards Saturday night, expecting conditions to potentially stay somewhat wet and stormy, but the severe weather threat lingers as well. The threat for severe weather also continues as we head into Sunday, but this is different than what it was just 24 hours ago. Storm Prediction Center has revised their outlook to include just mostly areas along and south of Interstate 80. So that is a good sign. If you're hoping for just some regular rain and thunderstorms and not the severe weather, that risk has reduced a little bit. I'll show you why here on Pinpoint Futurecast. Notice how widespread the showers and storms are again to start the day. This is not unlike what we're experiencing today across the area. And that's why the threat today is a little bit lower in our local area too. Too much activity earlier in the day can limit the ability for the atmosphere to recharge, but Pinpoint Futurecast does show at least that potential. And even without much warming, we still have enough energy and certainly enough support at the upper levels to potentially allow some of those storms to organize and turn strong. Watch this clearing. This is the spot where we're going to see some of that heat potentially build up at least a little bit. Even a 5-10 degree difference can make a pretty big difference in terms of thunderstorm outcomes on Sunday. So we are watching that carefully. Whether that will change, how that will evolve, of course, through the weekend, we'll continue to bring you our first alert updates on that potential. So that does it for this morning. We're going to have more updates on KCRG TV9, KCRG.com, as well as the KCRG TV9 First Alert Weather app and the KCRG TV9 YouTube channel, all throughout this event as we head into the weekend as things stay rather active. I want to thank you for joining me this morning. As you head through the weekend, just make sure to stay safe. Don't want anybody to get into any sort of trouble out there due to the weather that we're expecting. Although, again, just an emphasis, it's not the time to panic. We have seen threats like this before. In fact, it's a little bit lower of an overall risk than what we saw last Tuesday. So it's just something to keep in mind. Certainly keep weather aware, and we'll keep you safe. Thanks for watching.